so much. Great turnout. We love Greece.
Jello Beats, holla at me.
Plug.
It was certainly on my mind with actors. I think that actors does reference both assholes and then also Rachel Ormond, which didn't exist at the time, and I was very, very excited by referencing a film that didn't exist.
And also when we were making Rachel Ormond, we did our best to reference things that happened in Assholes or Actors. So it was always in our minds, although I can't say that it was intentional from the beginning, but it developed over the course of making the 3 films.
Okay, thanks for that answer. Does anybody have a question in the crowd?
Plug.
Kill assholes, marry actors, fuck Rachel Ormond.
I would have to agree.
Plug.
I'm not really sure. I don't really identify with either one of them, honestly. I feel excited by the idea that I don't identify with them, because at a certain point I really did obviously identify with my character in Actors, but I feel so far away from her, which is a good feeling, and it was kind of the goal. Like the Actors for me was a little bit of an exorcism. Like I wanted to rid myself of all of that, so I don't identify with actors. So what about you? Your character in Assholes is kind of sick.
I was gonna say both of those characters in Assholes and Actors are different versions of my shadow self, which I do sometimes embody. The character of Adam and Petra are who I would be if I, had no filter and no super ego.
I definitely identify the most with the character of Rachel.
Me too.
At the end of Rachel, why Mommy Zero?
Mommy Zero because, well, first of all, because I felt nothing when I was acting with Chloe Cherry. It was very scary. But also Mommy Zero because often when you meet people that you idolize, it never lives up to your fantasy.
I was just thinking about, I personally have had so many parasocial obsessions in my life to people that I don't know at all. I'm a meme administrator on the internet, on the Instagram, and have been since 2018. And I've had periods of that time where my whole worth as a person has been wrapped up in how somebody who runs an account who I've never met thinks about my memes.
How do you feel with the possibility that now people are having parasocial relationships to you two because of the films like?
Well, that we love and want to continue, and hope it happens a lot more in countries all around the world with increasingly more and more people.
I agree.
You're both good mommies.
We're good mommies.
Good mommies.
Yeah. You can.
Ways, very, very different mommies.
True that.
Plug.
When I started writing the movie, I was very much an outsider to internet culture. I was reading about it in books, and I think the books that I was reading had a critical flavor. I let the movie be in a drawer for quite a while, and in that time I became a lover of the internet. So I think maybe both flavors are in there, but the movie is critical, I think. It is critical. But I myself am less critical than the film. Of the internet and internet culture. This is the girl.
Plug.
the screenplay for Rachel existed before the screenplay for Assholes or Actors. And it's an interesting thing for the writers and the audience to know. I really am not a fan of sci-fi. When I started writing the script in 2013, I was very preoccupied with this idea that the internet as a subject felt underrepresented in cinema. When I was trying to put myself in the future, I couldn't help but have ideas that felt like dystopian sci-fi ideas. So even though that's not a genre I plan on ever exploring again, I think it's worth noting that sometimes a genre manifests in your work and it's not necessarily indicative of your taste, but just like where your impulses are bringing you.
Plug.
The underlying foundation remained pretty similar. Like there was a character of Darcy and the consciousness uploading that was in there, but I would say all of the details changed. I rewrote the script pretty heavily in 2021 after a long period of myself being a memer and after the vibe shift and being very close to the figures that were involved in that. And then, you know, one of the things that was always a challenge was like, how do you, getting at any truth about the internet is so challenging because it's so different for everybody. So at a certain point, I realized that the only way I could do that was by being very personal about the kind of content that I myself was ingesting. So that was like Dime Square content, that was angelicism, that was these like niche accounts. So part of how I attempted to get at some of that truth was by on set feeding people lines directly from my phone, directly from Twitter, and also getting all these hundreds of people that came in at that time in 2022, as Betsey reminded me, and she's so right, they were primed for, I think that was a very unique time in the world because everyone had just been on the COVID lockdowns. The idea of being extremely online went from a niche kind of activity to more mainstream activity. So people arrived on set with all of these like internet demons. So I only had to prompt them just a little bit. I would say like, look, you're not in an audience. It felt like this. I was on stage, everyone was out there. I said, you know, you're not in an audience. I want you to imagine that you're giving voice to what you would write on a comment section, on Twitter, on a Chan board, and go. And now brag or shitpost. But then give people a lot of permission and a long leash. Everyone was so ready to sort of share the voice that they had crafted online and to share the references that they had been logging and sort of like, you know, cataloging in their, you know, psyche online. And so that was how we did it. It was a mixture of my writing, but really a lot of improv and a lot of like in the moment prompting.
Plug.
A lot of improv. A lot of it, I mean, all of Rachel's stuff was also improv. Peter doesn't love to talk about that for some reason. I don't know why. But
I don't know where.
I mean, he does it. He hasn't for the last like multiple screenings. So it was really. He did talk about it for the first screening or two, but then you know, not so much.
Both Betsey and I, the way we love to work is we rigorously script the movie, and then we trust so much the actors we have. I mean, Betsey Brown and Jack Dunphy are in their own rights, you know, brilliant creative minds. So I would let Betsey completely rewrite every line. The bumpy, flat dichotomy is something she came up with. All the best lines in the movie are stuff she came up with. Also, when I played Petra, I rewrote all my lines, so.
I would not say a single word of my line. The script is there to understand the structure, and then we play.
For me, I would consider the movie consider a shoot a huge failure if I only I got my words. It's by the time you're on set, those are boring, and you're so lucky to be working with people like Betsey and like Jack and like, you know, our parents and like who?
And like you.
Oh, interesting, nice. And that's how you get the best material.
I have a question based off everything you said and the playful competitiveness that you two obviously seem to have. I'm curious, so your siblings grew up together obviously. When did you decide to start working together? Was it as maybe I have this idea that it could have possibly been out of pure competition, or were you like riffing during childhood?
We were not riffing during childhood. It started with a reading of Assholes, and the person who is based on the Aaron character, the Jack Dunphy character, said, Betsey has to play this part of Ada. I know that you don't want her to be, but she's the only person who could do it. And so he kind of forced Peter to cast me, and then that started our artistic collaboration. Peter took a huge risk on me with Assholes, because I hadn't done anything before that.
I hadn't even seen Betsey do anything, and my thinking in the beginning was, well, conceptually this will be interesting because it's my real sister and real parents. But I will say that as soon as the movie started, it was so shocking for me. I was like, oh my God, Betsey's like one of the best actors I've ever seen. And then, yeah, I mean, I think our little antagonisms are always a bit of an engine to the work. I mean, that especially came into play during Actors, because I was, you know, the way I approached that role was full method. And to be Petra, it's a very hard life. You know, no one is into what I'm doing. You know, my family thinks I'm the devil, and I knew that the world, I mean, if you were to do that, what that character does now, or in 2017, you would be reviled. And actually, Betsey even told me before the movie began, Peter, because I'd gone a little manic, actually, like a bit before the shoot for my own reasons, just smoking too much weed. But she told me, she was like, you should go manic during this. I was like, all right, boss. Okay, Captain. Aye, aye. But we fought so much. It became like a trope of that set that Betsey would yank me into the bathroom because it was like the only place we could be alone, and we would just fight and fight and fight. So everyone always wanted me to kind of admit that what I was doing was an act. Like my parents and Betsey was like, why don't you break character? Like, please, like reveal to us that you're okay, that this isn't real. But I couldn't, because the look in their eyes was so inspiring to me as an actor. And it was so the right look for the movie. And if I had just been like, oh no, I'm just acting, like it would have ruined something. So it was like a bargain where I had to sort of risk this, you know, discomfort of my family in exchange for what I really believed was the right, you know, mood. But it was hard.
It was so crazy after we wrapped at the little like wrap party drinks. He acted was at the bar. He acted so normal, and I was so stunned. I was like, oh, so that was all a dream, I guess. And I was very mad at him for a while, but now it's all water under the bridge, and I'm very thankful for that performance.
Wait, so you actually thought for a second that he was going through it?
Yeah, because Peter is. The movie was inspired by it's close to home, not in the trans aspect, but in the mania aspect. So I was very afraid that he was in a manic episode and very upset about his behavior. So and I didn't know what was like the reality was very blurred, both on and off screen.
Had you previously ever tried to take over your identity?
Thank you for bringing that part up. I feel like that part, like him taking over my identity, is more a component of my dream. Like I would like him to want to take over my identity, because if he did want to do that, that means I was doing something like admirable and interesting artistically, and I think that I wrote the end as like a kind of dream, and so yeah.
Yeah, and possibly taking back the name Brown.
Plug. Plug.
This is a beautiful question, and I really appreciate it, and I know Betsey does too. You're really hitting the nail on the head. It's both. I mean, I think we're lucky because as filmmakers, we're interested in the internet, and all three films, even Assholes, has some quality about the characters' relationships with the online. I mean, it gets more and more pronounced as the films progress. So, and also both of us have been memers. So it's we're so lucky that the thing that's the cheapest and easiest way to market a movie, and also the most, I think, avant-garde and cutting-edge way to market a movie is through memes. And we started doing this with actors, with the account Actors Selectuals, which is still sometimes posts. We just revived it. So it's both, you know, we're lucky that the thing that we can do fits with our vision as filmmakers. But you're right, if these movies had been picked up by Neon or A24, we'd probably be sitting in, you know, a 5-star hotel, sipping wine, smoking cigars, and letting our, like, you know, overpaid friggin' marketing team do worse than us, probably. But, you know, one more thing I'll say about this, why I love, part of the joy of being so indie and having our marketing be memes is that, you know, it's inspiring to others, you know, like when we as meme admins, as selectuals, as source admins meme this movie into reality, because a meme, unlike a TV ad or a billboard, which is so like out of reach to the average person, but a meme anyone can make. So some of our friends and admirers, you know, who love these movies will meme for us on our behalf. So then suddenly the marketing of the movie isn't just something that falls to us or people paid to make it happen, but it falls to the people that want, like, that have just the desire for these movies to exist, like our friends and fans, like, and that feels like beyond beautiful, so touching. And I think that's meme magic, and that's something you can't buy, no marketing team could ever replicate, and, you know, that just feels like a blessing.
Silly Boy will not survive. Finally, an idea that feels worthy of his time and effort. A screenplay that must be written. Silly Boy, the coffee shop, is the court of public opinion, and the freelancers, hunched over their laptops, doing their personal best to change or subvert culture, are the jurors. I'm not racist, I'm not sexist. Those are my characters, not me, Silly Boy wails at the mob, gnashing their teeth, ready to pounce. Should he admit his characters and their hate are taken directly from his memory? And that, for the first time, he's using his own experience as material. Should he include this evidence for the jury or save it for film comment? Isn't truth what audiences crave? Truth and identity. Identity plus emotion plus craft plus time equals art, doesn't it? Is his identity off limits? You're capitalizing off the suffering of others, a woman in the back screams at the top of her lungs. Stop showing my people in disarray, the barista adds, and sprinkles cinnamon on a macchiato. But it's the truth. I witnessed this, he says. The freelancers erupt in a single voice of dissent.